evening, intentional parents, and welcome back to the sixth day of the conference. I'm sure it's been an amazing time for you as it has been for me. Okay, so this is the third session for today, and the speakers of today have really been amazing. It's so wonderful to be here, and I know that you have enjoyed these sessions. Remember, like Coach Wendy will always say, faith comes by hearing, but for you to get your results, it's only by doing. Okay, so before we get to meet our speaker for today, I would like us to sit back and listen to a testimonial from the inner circle. Remember the mandates. Parenting is not about tips and hacks, but it's about the process. And came forth the inner circle program. If you haven't joined the inner circle by now, since the first day of the conference, by all the testimonials you have heard, then you're still on a very long thing. Okay, so before we meet our speaker for tonight, I would like us to watch another testimonial from the inner circle. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone, my name is Titilope Akajere and I'm a member of the inner circle of the Intentional Parents Academy. My journey to becoming a member started long before now. I'd always followed Coach Wendy, followed our posts, bought our books, from Connect to Correct to the Discipline That Works, and every other media guide that she puts out there. So being a member of the Intentional Parents Academy, the inner circle, has been eye-opening for me. I see it as a support system for parents who want to be deliberate and intentional on this parenting journey. Parenting in the 21st century is not a walk in the park, I must tell you. And so you need to follow person with no road, follow someone who has more knowledge than you. I tell people, why do we go to business school? Why do we go to school to read certain things? And then it comes to parenting and we act like we know it all. No, it won't work. And so that's why I would recommend the inner circle for anyone who wants to be deliberate, who wants to parent with ease and not under stress. We also have our lives to live and we also want to parent our children better. So the inner circle is a place to be for everyone, to learn, to unlearn and relearn. And so I would recommend the inner circle for anyone, any day, anytime. Thank you.
Welcome back. That was an amazing testimonial. I hope you can see me and hear me all right. Awesome. Okay, that was an amazing testimonial. A few days ago, a friend called me and told me, was thanking me for inviting her to teach to the Intentional Parents Facebook group. And then she began to ask me about the inner circle. And she said, my child is still a toddler. Do you think do you think I should join since my child is still a toddler? And you know what I told her? I told her, for me, I wish I can rewind the hands of time. I told her she is in the best place. She's in the best position to come into the inner circle because she will take care of a lot of things. So if you're still thinking about it, don't think anymore. It's not a fast feeding up, all right? Okay. So now we are about to meet our speaker for today. So stay tuned as we listen to the profile of our speaker.
The founder of Gal Parenting Place and creator of Peaceful Parenting Hub, Abimbola Olayinka is redefining parenting driven by a desire to see peace reign in every home and workplace. For her, Only peace in the home can transform Nigeria into a peaceful place. A member of the International Network for Children and Families in Gainesville, Florida, and the Family Life Coaching Association, North Carolina, Olayinka, among other international certifications, is an ACPI certified professional parenting educator, a certified John Maxwell parenting and family life coach, as well as a certified professional family and relationship educator and coach from the Academy of Parenting Coaches, called Portfolio, Menifee, California, USA. She is the pioneer of peaceful parenting coaching in Nigeria, as well as the only redirecting children's behavior instructor in the country, representing Redirecting Children's Behavior International, Florida, USA. Olayinka, who holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of Nicosia, Cyprus, and a postgraduate diploma in business management, is also presently the managing director of Gabby's Alternative Limited, with subsidiaries including Gal Dreadlocks, Gal Consulting Global Services, and Gal Logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the 2021 Intentional Parents Conference, Abimbola Olayinka.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Okay. I hope my network is not acting up.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh,
Can you hear me, ma'am?
yes, we can
Yes.
hear you, Chinyere.
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so
We
I
can hear
guess
you loud and clear, please.
our moderator has a bit of a network challenge. Thank you so much, Abimbola Olayinka. If you're talking about peace and peaceful parenting, hey, you've got the right person in the building. Of course, you know that we bring you the right people only. All right. And Coach Chinyere Bina just had a bit of a challenge with her network. She is the moderator of this session. But we have the amazing Coach Abimbola, and we are going to let her take it away. Of course, you know how much I love parenting with peace and calm. Hey, here you have it. Thank you, ma'am, and good to have you here.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm so excited to be here as usual. Anything around peace, anything around parenting brings out the best in me. You know, I usually tell people that parenting is a calling. You know, so we all do not have that gift to parent effectively. It's a different thing to be a mother. It's another thing to be a father. But parenting effectively, intentionally, and peacefully, it's a totally different ball game. And I'm going to make it clear to you in the course of this discussion. Thank you for having me, Wendy Oluge. Thank you for having me, TIP. I'm excited because I see the wonderful work you guys are doing. And I know that together as coaches, we will make parenting more affordable for parents to actually access all the tools and the skills they need to earn their parenting skills. And like I said again, parenting is a calling. So being a father and a mother does not mean you're actually called to parent. And that is why we see some parents behaving in a way we do not want to identify with. It is not their fault. It's because they are not called to parent. They are just mothers. They are just fathers. So I preach peaceful parenting, just like Wendy said. So when we talk about peace, because I'm here to talk about raising emotional stability children. And when we're talking about emotional stability, it centers around peace. You cannot be emotionally stable if you're not peaceful. So you have to be peaceful. You have to understand how to manage your emotions to be able to parent peacefully and to be emotionally stable as well. So when I say peace, what does it mean? Does it mean that we're not in a chaotic environment? Does it mean that there are no troubles around us, as we can see? Does it mean that there's no unrest? No. But it means your ability to be able to regulate yourself even in the midst of this chaos. Your ability to be able to understand your emotions, use your emotions, and direct your emotions positively for your effective use. It means the world around you is chaotic. There's so much unrest. There's so much noise. But deep inside of you, you know, you can feel the unrest because, of course, you're human. But you will be able to identify that this is the type of emotion I'm feeling at this point in time. Am I going to use this to put myself in that state of excellence? If yes, then you stay within that space. But if that feeling, that signal your emotion is giving you is going to throw you out of your state of excellence. So it's your ability to remodify that emotion and feel what you're intended to feel at that point. That is what we call emotional intelligence. Now, bringing it back to the home front, dear parents, how emotionally stable are you? Dear mother, how emotionally stable are you? Dear father, are you emotionally stable? Because you cannot give what you don't have. If you're not emotionally stable within a family climate, there's tendency for you not to be able to raise emotionally stable children out of that climate. Remember, our children look at us for a living. They watch us. They do everything we do because they believe that whatever we do is the right thing, is the way of life. They know little about life. So they identify with our actions, our words, per time. So if you are easily flustered, you're teaching your children to always be flustered. How do you relate to your husband at home? How do you relate to your wife? How do you relate to your domestic staff? How do you relate to your families, to your friends? All of these, our actions, our inactions, are teaching our children how to manage their emotions. And I need us to understand one thing. It is very clear. Every child is born with a level of emotional intelligence. So the family that child is actually born into will either increase or decrease the level of emotional intelligence in that child. So you can see how our actions and inactions are influencing our children positively and negatively. And as a parent, our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. I will take that again. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. It is important to know what to feel, how to feel, and when to feel per time. We must be able to handle certain life issues effectively. But if we don't have all of this, the children are watching, they are learning. Remember, they are like sponge. They absorb, and at the right time, they will release it. How is our behavior influencing our children at home? How are we relating with our children at home? Are we demonstrating the right skills for them to be emotionally intelligent? Are we doing the work God has sent to us by instilling the right values into our children? Remember, I said, peace doesn't mean that everywhere is calm. It doesn't mean that it is peaceful all around us. But it means our inner peace is stable. It can adjust to the environment per time. And that will take me to the definition of emotions. So if we say emotional intelligence, what exactly are we saying? We hear it every time. We hear it everywhere. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, it's our ability to understand what we feel. According to Daniel Goleman, to understand what we feel, to use what we feel, and to be able to direct that emotions for our own positivity, for effective use. So it means what you're doing will not affect me negatively because I already created that gap. Because I know that there's tendency for you to behave well or misbehave. Because I understand my environment. I understand that things may not go the way I have planned. And that is why we have the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness, it comes first. You have to be self-aware. What works for you? What triggers you per time? What are your high moments, your low moments? What do you need at that particular point in time? How is your emotional vocabulary for you to be able to identify, specify, and label that emotion? What feeling, what reaction are you giving to that emotions per time? Because there's a difference between emotions and feelings. A lot of people don't understand that. Emotions are data. They are telling us what is happening to us. They're telling us, it's just like, you have your dashboard in a car and you usually see the check engine. It's telling you there's something wrong with the car. Check the engine. Check the engine. So is that feeling that you give, the response you give to that emotions, that is the feeling. So our emotions are not directive. They are data. Your emotion is not telling you, is not giving you anger signal and it is telling you to be angry. No. It's the response you're given to that emotion that is anger. And you have the ability to redirect what you feel and how you feel per time. And that is the difference between an emotionally intelligent mother or father and a non-emotionally intelligent mother or father. And that is why we say in emotional intelligence that your children, nobody has the capacity to get you upset. You have chosen to be upset. You have chosen to be upset per time. It is not about your child. It is not about your husband. It is not about your wife. It is about you. You have chosen to be angry. Nobody has the capacity to trigger that. It's because your knowledge of emotional intelligence at that point is at where you are. So now tell me, if you can't control your emotions, how do you equip your child with the necessary tool to strengthen his or her emotional intelligence? So you can see, dear parent, that the work lies with us. Totally. Because one thing I believe is if we can parent intentionally, if we can parent with peace, if we can parent with love, if we can parent with happiness, our children will absorb all of these things. And the world will be a better place. So you see, when I say peace begins with you, it means everything you represent must signify peace. Because your children are looking at you. They learn faster by seeing rather than by saying. There's a quote that says, "Hey parents, your voice is just too loud. I can barely hear you, but I can see you." It means they view us for a living. So per time, we have to learn to be emotionally available for these children. Parenting is gone beyond food, shelter, and clothing. That was when we were growing up. Have you eaten? Yes, mommy. Are you putting on the right clothes? Fantastic. But then there was no way they could relate to us based on our emotional need, because they also didn't have it for some parents, or let me even say like 95% of them. But now, with what we have available to us, it is clear that we have to be available emotionally for these children. And that is why we have to learn to strengthen our emotional intelligence. It is very, very important. A lot of us still have our trauma that we're battling with. And it's creating that gap between us and our children. Take courses on emotional intelligence. Go online, study, read. Because if we're not emotionally available for our children, somebody else will do that job for us out there, and we don't have control over who will do the job. If you're the kind of parent that your children cannot easily walk up to ask questions, to bond with, then there's a problem somewhere. Because they have emotional need, just like you and I. And that takes me to the second pillar of emotional intelligence. That is self-management. Remember, it is only when you know what works for you that you can only manage yourself. So if you cannot identify what works for you, you don't know your triggers, how do you manage those things? How do you create coping skills around those? So you can see that we have a lot of work to do as parents. So after this conference today, I need you to sit back and have a meeting with yourself and understand the things that get you easily flustered. What are those things that I don't like? What are those statements that I hear that tick me? Start writing them down and start learning how to cope around them. Because you're in front of those children. They are seeing everything you're doing per time. And you have to model the right tools for them to absorb, for them to learn, so that we can have peaceful leaders for the future. But if you're not doing it rightly, they can't learn it from the moon. And that is the truth, except there's an intervention. So self-awareness, it comes first. Know yourself. For yourself, by yourself. Self-management. It is only when you can understand yourself that you'll be able to manage yourself. And that will take me to social awareness. Social awareness now means outside of you, your children, your friend, your husband. If you're not aware of yourself, dear parents, you can't be aware of the people around you. You cannot see that child in need. You will not understand that you have to know the why behind that child's behavior. You would always react against responding. You will not pause before you beat. You will not pause before you judge. You will not pause before you scream, because you will lack empathy. Without emotional intelligence, you cannot have empathy. And it is lack of empathy that made us to be where we are in the country today. Your ability to feel what others are feeling per time. It is only when you understand yourself and you know yourself that you'll be able to feel what somebody else is feeling. If you don't even know what you are feeling, how do you know what your child is feeling? So you can see that there's a big gap here. So that would take me to the fourth pillar of emotional intelligence, which is relationship management. Dear parents, how do you manage your relationship with your child when you're not self-aware? You can't manage yourself. So you don't even have that social awareness. So how do you manage that relationship? How do you bond? So you can see the importance of emotional intelligence. You can see the importance of raising emotional stability, emotional stable children, so to speak. It starts and ends with us. So you think The saying that everything rises and falls on the altar of parenting is a joke, dear parents, is no joke. Everything about us, around us, speaks a lot of volume. These children are learning per time. They are learning how to view life. They are learning how to navigate through life, through our actions and inactions. And when we're talking about a peaceful atmosphere, a peaceful family climate, we're talking about the knowledge of emotional intelligence under that climate. It is only when that climate is emotionally stable, as the knowledge of emotional intelligence, that such climate can raise emotionally stable children. And that is the truth. Like I said, except there's an intervention. Maybe along the line, the child takes the course on his or her own. And there's something very, very important. The knowledge of emotional intelligence has to be learned from childhood. And you know why? Because these children will grow up to be the mother, to be the father, and also to be the leader in that organization. So you can see the importance of family in the society. Remember that our family is the production house of the society. So it is what we're producing in the house that we're releasing to the society. So do we have any moral right to be blaming the society for the gap we have created at the home front? If we have done our work well as parents, I am certain that the world may likely not be the way it is. It's because there's crisis in the home front. There's lack of emotional intelligence in the home front. There's lack of peace in our homes. And that is why the world is where it is today. That is why there's lack of empathy, lack of compassion in the society. Dear parents, it's actually a family meeting today. Let's talk to ourselves. We need to do better in the home front. We need to equip ourselves with the right tools. It is very, very important. Like I said, peace doesn't mean that there's no chaos. Get me right. It doesn't mean that everywhere is peaceful. But it means responding to all those unrest in peaceful means. I got you. I'm in it as well. I'm a parent. I know the parenting is a four-sided responsibility, four-dimensional. Oh, yes. We have the work of the parent. We have the work of the government. We have the work of the society, the government, and the international body. I understand that it is only the parent that is doing all of this work. I know. And it is clear to me. Okay, but what can we do? Okay, what can we do? The society is not helping. Government is not helping. The international body, they are not helping. So are we supposed to throw these children on the street or feel, oh, okay, since they are not helping, then we can parent? We have to buckle our belts. It is a sad story, but well, it is what we have to do. We have to learn to balance it at the home front. Because majority of us carry the aggression from the outside into our homes. We think we're doing ourselves some good, not knowing that we're actually equipping the children negatively. I know it is tough. It can be very tough. But our ability to return to that state of excellence per time is what we need to equip ourselves with. We don't want to die young. Because waking up in Nigeria, as you're waking up, no NEPA lights, you're already frustrated. You can't have the kind of birth you would want to. You jump into your car, as you're driving, a bike man hits you from the back or something. You're flustered already. Getting to the road, think traffic. So you can see that everything in Nigeria is wired to frustrate us. So are we going to allow ourselves to be frustrated so that we can develop the BP, so so that we can die young? No. We will not give in to that. We will strengthen the knowledge of our emotional intelligence. We will strengthen our ability to respond positively to our environment. Are we going to feel that frustration? Yes. But are we going to remain in that state? No. We will feel it and step out of it. Remember, our children don't understand what is going on. All they see are what we're modeling in the four walls of the home. So you see why we have to be careful. Majority of them don't even know what is happening. They are just picking all those behaviors as we're throwing it at them. I'll give you an instance. I actually wrote it. I put it out yesterday. A wonderful friend of mine actually sent me bowls of food, and there was this particular one with fish. As I opened it, my son was with me. And the next thing he said, "Mom, but we don't eat fish." It was at that point I realized that I never cooked fish for them in the house. Not because of anything, because I don't eat fish. And to think of it, my mother never cooked fish for me as well. So you can see the influence. I don't know why my mother never did that. I have stopped it because we were not eating it growing up. And I'm actually going on the same cycle in my home. So you can see how influential we are in the life of our children. It's the same way they pick those negative attitudes we throw at them per time. So we have a lot of work to do. It is not the fault of those children that the world is how it is. We brought them to this world. So do we transfer aggression on them? No. Some of us have capacity to raise 2 children, we have 4. And we constantly lash out at them, shout at them. Not their fault. They were sitting pretty in heaven. We call them over. And our duty is to guide, guard, and nurture them. Because we're going to give account of all of this on that day. So I'm wondering, how do we give the account of these children that are handed to us to take care of? Because they are not ours. We're just their guardian. And I will stretch that again. They are not ours. We're just here to guide them. So on that day, what report will you give? How will you tell the creator, the handler, that you have raised the children he handed to you? Dear parents, you see that we have a lot to do. I just created a framework around peace. It's called the peaceful framework because I understand the place of peace in parenting. I understand the place of peace in our society because there's a connection between inner peace, peace at home, peace in our environment, and peace at the workplace. If the 4 elements of peace are in place, then of course the world will be a better place. But without your inner peace, because it starts with you, you can't give that peace in your house. You can't be emotionally stable. You can't equip your children with the necessary tools they need to thrive. And that is the truth. So it starts with us. The peace we intend to see in our children, it starts with us. The peace we intend to see in our husband, in our wives, it starts with us. The peace we need to see in the society, it begins with us. So we have to be the peace we wish to see. It does not start from the school. It doesn't start from the government. It doesn't start from the streets. Neither does it start from the children. It starts with us. How emotionally available are we per time? How are we feeling these children emotional need? How are we feeling their emotional cups? Are you able to even identify your own emotional needs? Let's start from there. Dear parents, we have a lot to do. I'm from the school of thought that when we understand what we feel, how we feel per time, we'll be able to manage our emotions. We'll be able to create coping skills around those emotions. And we'll be able to use those emotions effectively for our own good. If we can't do all of this, we will not be able to do all of that. How do we teach our children to be emotionally stable? Please get this clear. It is easier for our children to watch us and learn from us. It is the fastest means of learning. Psychologically, it is more adaptable. Then, if we now speak it, there's a synergy. But if we are not acting it and we're just speaking it, there's likely to be a problem. But when we act it, we know it. Then when we speak it, it makes it easier for them to learn. Because at that point, we're practicing what we're preaching. So now I'll give you a few ways. This is after I've understood that you now know how to manage your emotions. It is only at that point that you can manage your own emotions to help your child. Because our duty is not to help our children to manage their emotions. No, our duty is to manage our own emotions. So if you have been helping your child to manage his or her emotions, you have been doing it wrongly. You should manage your emotions. Your children will manage his or their emotions. They will manage their emotions. So what you can do to help them to navigate through those processes is one, we have to teach them how to label and identify what they feel per time. I understand you're flustered right now. What do you feel exactly? How do you feel? We can't know what they are feeling. We can only generalize. They are the ones that will be able to tell us what they feel per time. But we can see that they are not happy. We can see that they are sad. Hi, I know you're emotionally flustered right now. How do you feel? How can I help you? Mom, Dad, I feel so sad. Oh, wow, I understand you're sad. What made you sad? And remember to always use the word what and not why. Why is judgmental? What is probing? So there's a difference between the word why and the word what when we're dealing with our children. So what made you feel sad? And the child goes, oh, ho, 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 and all of that. And we must learn to acknowledge their emotions. We must learn to acknowledge their emotions. We do not have any right not to acknowledge their emotions. You can't throw it away. You are not the one feeling it. So there should be nothing like, how can you say you're feeling sad just because I said? There's nothing like that. They have a right to their feeling. Mom, I feel sad because you said, oh, I am sorry. I didn't know it would come off that way. This is what I was trying to explain. What you have just done is that you're teaching that child too, that in the future, when he's relating with someone, he or she should know that it is a must to acknowledge the feelings of others. And we admit our mistakes. We're not God, we're human. I am sorry, because that wasn't the intention. And you'll be shocked that when that child is also related to the brother or to the sister, the child would also express those traits. I'm sure we see that in the house, whereby you'll be like, this child is acting the way I do. He speaks just the way I speak. And when they're also relating to us as well, they use those words for us. Mommy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. It's because of this, it's because of that. All those learnings didn't drop from the moon. They learn them from us. And you will see it the way they are interacting with their siblings as well. So I've given you one. Secondly, remember, before all of this, you have to be self-aware. You have to be able to manage yourself. You have to be socially aware. And you have to be able to manage relationships before you be using these tools I'm giving to you. If you falter in those four, there's tendency for you not to be able to use these tools effectively. I'm sure you're aware that relationship is the currency of the wealthy, and not just the wealthy alone. Relationship is also the currency of family members. And that is why your brother would call you. Hey, sis, I need 500,000. That's brother, hey. And you say, oh, brother, just send me your account number. I'll actually activate that. And brother B will call you. Hey, sis, hey, bro, I need 200,000. Say, sir, you should have called me like some days back. It's because of the level of relationship you have between yourselves. And the same thing applies to our parents. Some of us, you hear, oh, mommy needs you right now. You say, please, let mommy call sister A or sister B. I'm busy. I'll attend to her later. And some of us, you hear your mommy needs you right now. At that point, you're dropping everything you're doing. You're running to mommy. It's because of the relationship you have been able to build. So you see why relationship is very, very important. What we're doing today is based on relationship as well. And that is why building healthy relationship with our children is very, very important. You know why? In the future, we will understand it better. It's the way we have been able to relate with them now that they will relate with us in the future. So you can see that parenting is a hard job. But guess what? It's the most rewarding. Because it is garbage in, garbage out. So you do what you want to be done to you per time to your children. And that is the truth. Let us leave the traditional style of parenting. If you want your children to respect you, dear parents, you respect your children. If you want them to talk to you kindly, you talk to them kindly. Not for anything, but because you're teaching them how to relate to you. And that is the truth. So now, back to the second tool. I call it MOT, moment of teaching. Anytime our children are emotionally flustered, take that deep breath, take a pause. Calm yourself down. We call it 6 seconds pause. In our head, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you take that deep breath. Then you can attend to that child. You make that moment a moment of teaching for that child. Okay, remember we've identified what the problem is. We've acknowledged their emotions. So the second step is now to teach them how to use that feeling better in the future. Okay, now I got you. I understand what the problem is. But in the future, would you do it better by doing this? Look at this that you have just done. Look at this way, which is better. Give them the options and give them the opportunity to choose the one that is better. What you have just done is to make that moment a moment of teaching. MOT. Help them to identify their emotions while you acknowledge their emotions and the feeling that comes with that emotion. 2 in 1. Secondly, you make that moment a moment of teaching so that they can do better in the future. And thirdly, you reward them. So you agree that this is a better way to do it? Yes. Oh, I'm excited. I'm happy that you have been able to understand that in the future, you don't do this. You do that, and that would make the world a better place. And you know why? Because your brother will not be sad, mommy will not be sad, daddy will not be sad. You're throwing in empathy. So, can we have some cookies? So, don't worry, you can have 30 minutes on your gadget time or added to your gadget time. But that doesn't mean we'll be doing that all the time. But we're only strengthening their emotion, the time, and the knowledge of emotional intelligence that they can do better by being better. And they will get better responses. This life isn't as deep as we take it. The way we worry, the way we shout, the way we scream at those children, has it brought any form of betterment in the home? Have they done better with that? If you think you're saying positive difference in them by shouting, by screaming down the roof, it's a false difference you're saying. It's not going to last forever. They're only giving that to us because they're under our roof. The moment they're old enough to step out of that roof, they will become who they want to become. So we need to learn to have relationships with our children. We should throw banter with our children. It doesn't mean they're going to be disrespectful. Remember, we can be kind and be firm in our approach. When it is time to be kind, you deploy kindness. And when it is time to be firm, you deploy firmness. At every point, we're teaching them how to navigate through life. At every point, we're teaching them how to navigate through life. So if you are still under my voice this evening and you still shout at your children, it's not going to take you anywhere. Before you know it, they will label you shouting mommy. And sometimes I was teaching a group of parents that a few of them actually said their children enjoy their scream. Amazing. They allow their moms to scream like 10 times before they respond. They said, no, it's not high enough yet. Let's still wait. So you can see that these children are actually very, very awesome. But that is what we want them to be. So we have the capacity to give them the right tools they need to thrive and not strive in life. All our actions per time is influencing them and building them up for the future they would face. So how are you influencing those children emotionally? Dear parents, how? Are you demonstrating the right emotions in front of them? Are you creating a positive atmosphere under the family climate? Are you teaching them how to manage their emotions per time by the way you are managing yours? By the way you're talking to your husband, your wife? By the way you're talking to your domestic staff? By the way you handle your telephone conversations? Because all those things count more than what we're actually teaching with word of mouth. Those 3 steps I've given you, if you're not doing the right thing with yourself per time, they will be useless. They can only go hand in hand when you're also doing the right thing. Like I said, I know it is tough, but we have to create that balance. And you can only create that balance with a peaceful mindset. You just have to be peaceful. The troubles of this world are enormous. You just have to understand the way of peace. If not, I said it earlier, na heart attack, Thank you. And we don't want to die young. We want to live. We want to enjoy the fruit of our labor. We want to raise children that we'll be happy with in the future. We want to see the future we will be excited to live in. And all those can only happen by being a peaceful, intentional parent. When you are being mindful of your peace, you'll be more focused. You'll be happy. You'll be happy because you will always practice the act of gratitude. Now, practicing the act of gratitude doesn't mean you have everything that you want or everything that you need. It only means you're content with what you have and you're open for a better one. But at that point, you're grateful. Father, I thank you for this 20,000 naira, but I know that by tomorrow it will be better. Because even if you don't have an act of gratitude, there's tendency for you not to have more tomorrow. What about self-care? Dear mom, dear dad, do you take good care of yourself? Do you create time to have conversations with yourself? Do you have your me time, daddy, mommy? Because when you are exhausted, there's tendency for you to flip. Do you hang out with your friends per time? Do you have meaningful conversations? Do you throw banters with your friends? Do you go out alone? Do you go to watch the movies? Because all of these are important. We can't carry all those burdens alone with all the responsibilities we're saddled with without you having your me time. Do you do exercises? Do you dance? Do you sing? You need to understand what works for you. What about your positive words of affirmation? Do you look at yourself in the mirror to say, oh, look how beautiful I am, to boost your morale? Because we need all of these things per time to function healthily. How do you see yourself? What conversations do you have with yourself per time? What conversations are you having about yourself in front of your children? We have a whole lot to do. So remember, it starts with you. The peace you wish to see in that child starts with you. The peace you wish to see in your husband starts with you. The peace you wish to see in your workplace starts with you. You have to learn to be in that state of peace so that you can attract peace. I said it and I will say it again. When I'm saying be peaceful, it doesn't mean that there's no chaos. In fact, we deal with chaos per time in this part of the world. But it means even in the midst of all those things, you're showing up with your best possible self per time. Your ability to return to your state of excellence is what differentiates you between other parents. Are you aware that there's a difference between being just a parent and being an intentional parent, or a peaceful parent, or a calm parent? Is that step that you are taking further to equip yourself? We all can be parents, yes. But when you become intentional about that parenting, you've taken a step further. When you become peaceful with that parenting, you've taken a step further. Let's leave the cultural conditioning. Let us activate logic per time. So, dear parents, once again, I'll tell you and be clear that the peace you wish to see in your children and everyone around you begins with you. Thank you very much, Inyere. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with a wonderful parent in your community. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. Thank you, Coach Wendy, for bringing Mrs. Abimbola to the tip Conference 2021. We appreciate Coach so much. I don't know where she just gets people from. Coach, you need to teach some of your mentees how to source for these, wonderful, resourceful, fireful speakers. You know, Mr. Bibola, she was just talking like a teacher, taking it step by step, precept upon precept, line upon line. But then she was hitting it at the right spot. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. I take you up at the in the last words you said. You said the peace that I, as a parent, wish to see in my husband, in my children, in the society, in my workplace starts with me.
Absolutely.
I don't want to recover from that step. And in the Intentional Parent Academy, because becoming an emotionally intelligent parent is like the prerequisite of all courses. Like that should be where every parent, must start from, because we can't raise emotionally intelligent children when we as parents are not emotionally intelligent. And one more thing Mrs. Abimbola said this night that is very touching. We live in a society where empathy is almost at zero. Every day you go out there, you don't see people demonstrating empathy. And she's telling us today that it's because there is a lack of emotional intelligence in the lives of adults. We can't raise another generation of adults that will still live without empathy. Therefore, the whole thing falls back on us as parents to raise children that are emotionally intelligent. But you know what? You can't even do it when you're not emotionally intelligent, because it's all about modeling. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. It's my notes is just filled. It's like I've written like 3 or 4 pages this evening, and I'm so blessed. You see, if you're here in the conference, you need to just get in it. The course is in the academy already. You need to contact Coach Wendy for that course, becoming the emotionally. In fact, that's even the first course in the year, and that's the primary course of the academy. Like you can't do without it. So get in there, because that is the key thing about parenting. Thank you so much. I don't know if there are questions. If you have questions, I haven't seen any question on the comment section yet. Coach Wendy,
There
what
are
do you
no.
want to say?
All right, thank you so much, Coach Chinyere Obina and Coach Abimbola Olayinka. I do not take it for granted that you guys bring out your time to be here. For the record, Coach Chinyere Obina is also a parent coach who has brought out her time to do this with us. Coach Abimbola, in her tight schedule, is here. Chinyere Obina said something that was actually very interesting. And she said, how have you been able to have all these resource people be here? Coach Abimbola said something that was just striking that answers that question. She said, relationship is the currency of the wealthy. If you didn't hear anything, that is what you should take home. If you're not building relationships in your life, then you are poor as anything. It doesn't matter how much you have in your bank account. You do not have relationship, you cannot bring resources together, then there is a problem. And unfortunately, that is also the same thing we're teaching our children. We're not intentional about how we're building relationships. We're not intentional about circles. We're not intentional about systems. We're just living on our own because we think in our head it's all about us. I was having a conversation with a mentee of mine and I said to him, I said, one of the reasons why you think that is about you is because you're not kingdom minded. Everybody who is kingdom minded thinks about people. You think about how you can impact people and not just me, myself, and my family. The moment you begin to think about the kingdom, the real spiritual kingdom, not religion, not your prayer and fasting. I'm talking about the real spirituality. You begin to think about kingdom. You begin to think about how to build sustainable relationships with people. You begin to think about how to build it and teach your children to do the same. Again, you simply cannot give what you don't have.
What you don't
We have
have.
another
Yeah.
session that is coming up in a few minutes, but we're going to take 5 minutes of that session time. It's the last session, and I'm sure Coach Tunu TJ will wait. I would like the team members to send a chat. Joy, you can hear me, send a chat that we start that session in 10 minutes. Because I would like Coach Abimbola to at least take one or two of the questions that it's here already. Coach Abimbola is on Instagram as the Gal Parenting. You need to follow her to see the resources that she's very big on peace. Coming from someone who walked a journey of chaos, you don't know my story. So when I tell you about intentional parenting, you think I'm coming from heaven where they dropped me and they said, "Oh, now that you have arrived, so you can now become intentional." No, all of us have learned it. She said something that was very striking. When I understood the kind of person I was and my capacity emotionally, that's the reason why I have 2 children, if you've been asking. That's the very reason why I can biologically take only 2 children. You need to know who you are emotionally first, even before you begin to have children. I think that's where to start. Because if you don't, you're going to run yourself into a mess. By the time I was parenting, my first parenting journey was with a foster daughter who is currently married, watching me right now. I saw her on the stream. And I realized that my emotions I needed to understand who I was. By the time I had the twins, I understood that my capacity was limited to that. And I told myself the truth. What can I do? I heard Abimbola saying that if you come out, on the journey, the children didn't beg you to be here. So when you say things like, "I don't have time," they are noisy, they are doing this one, it breaks my heart because it is the same circle we are breathing. You need to make a choice. Don't just go having 5 children, 10 children because the society says that. So anybody who has many children is the person that I don't know how they put it and all of that things that is being said around. We need to understand who we are. It just comes from who we are. I think we'll have a few questions and we'll be able to take those 2 questions and then we will allow Coach Abimbola to go before we get into the next session.
Thank you.
The question is on the screen, ma'am.
My question is, how can I use a moment of teaching for a toddler? Example, he plays with anything he lays his hands on, which he ends up destroying. And I have taught him about the importance of preserving things. You just said a toddler, ma'am. Right now, there's really nothing you can do other than to nicely play with the child and show that child how to handle such tool or toys, so to speak. The child is learning from you. If you nicely do it like 20 more times, not that, but I nicely packed it yesterday, I expect him to change tomorrow. No, there's a power of consistency. So you have to keep doing it, and that child is saying and saying. It may not change in 1 month. It may not change in 2 months, but trust me, the child is watching the way you're nicely packing and explaining things to him, and it will shock you. One day, you'll just see that the child will stop destroying the toys. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Coach Abimbola. I just got news from my team. The next session is 7:30. Yay. So we're going to buy a little more of your time.
No, that's fine. I'm here.
Please go ahead. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. But the next question is right there on the screen.
When a teachable moment presents when you're running late, should it be used then or later? It has to be right then, because you may not get that moment again. And what I mean by that moment is the time, the emotions, and the mental availability. You have to create that time. The time now is totally different from the time in another 5 minutes because of my state of mind. So you have to create that time. You may not necessarily finish that teaching at that point, but you have to broach on it so that it will be easier for you to refer to that
Continue,
teaching
yeah.
when you return in the afternoon or whatever time. Thank you very much for the question, too.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, the next question from Precious is right there on the screen.
Must a teachable moment be used there and then, or it can be postponed to a later, more convenient time? Dear Precious, I have just explained that as well. Just do your bit to broach on it at that point and let that child know that you will come back to it when you return from wherever you're going. But ensure you broach on it before you step out. Thank you, Precious.
Okay, yeah, that was what you said when you were answering the other question. Does that before you answer the next question, does that apply to the age of a child? Like, can you do that? You know, can you postpone for maybe an older child,
It's
or
cut
does that apply to
across.
every?
It's
Okay,
caught a curse because now we're talking about time management. So I really don't know what you're late for. It could be time bound. So, and that could happen to a toddler, it could happen to a teenager, it could happen even to
okay.
anyone. So, we're talking about time bound now, things that cannot wait. But at the same time,
Okay,
that teaching too cannot wait. So, you have to balance it.
okay, okay. Well understood. All right, Ngozi's question is there on the
My
screen.
daughter of 7 years wakes up feeling sad and can't pinpoint what the feeling is all about. How do I handle this? Okay, so I think we have to watch the pattern. What happened before bedtime? If she constantly wake up with this feeling, so we need to create like a story around what happened before bedtime, the kind of dream she's also dreaming. So if we can put this down in a week, there's tendency for us to establish what the problem is. Do you scream at her before bedtime? Do you shout at her before bedtime? Does she go to bed hungry? Or are there bothering issues from school or from peers that she's unable to discuss with you before bedtime? So you will need to create time to have this meaningful and quality conversation with your child. Mrs. Ezenwoke. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I know there is something that we normally do as our connection activity in the inner circle, called ritual, having the ritual talk with your child, and usually it's encouraged to be done in the night, right? So I think such an opportunity can arise when a parent is having the ritual talk time with the child right before bed to calm the
Yeah,
child.
well, we call it
Yeah.
circle
So.
time so that before bed
Mhm.
you do all of that.
Oh
Fantastic.
yes, and then of course, what screen activities does a child partake in before going to bed? All those things can matter. Okay,
Absolutely.
the next question says, how do I handle a 6-year-old boy? Okay, it's there.
Okay, how do I handle a 6-year-old boy who cries when he can't handle a task? Oh dear, that's such an emotional child. It is okay. You just, like you said, you understand the child, so you just help the child to grow through it. And the truth is, if that child is really strong with his emotions, it may not end. We have adults that still cries. It's not that they are bad, but because they are just very emotional. So
Emotional.
just guide such a child to know when to use that and how to. But you have to learn to practice the pause because it could trigger you. So you have
Yes.
to pause, understand yourself first so that you can understand that child. Thank you, Nina.
Okay. So before you teach your child how to pause, you must learn and be a practitioner of the pause before you act. So the child can even learn it
Absolutely.
from your model. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abimbola. I think our questions are over for tonight.
Thank
Yes,
you
get
so
ready.
much again and again, ma'am. We do not take your presence for granted. We are very, very glad your presence is much appreciated. We do not take the grace of God for the gift of men in the academy for granted. And we are thankful, we are grateful. And if you're watching this session, make sure that you have invited your friends, your family. Make sure that you share this video with somebody somewhere. Remember what Coach Abimbola said? She said that it's not just about, just the bigger picture. It's about the home. What happens in the home is what creates the product. I usually say that the society is a product of the family. So, she put it in a very profound way this evening, where she talked about being the production room. I like the way she
Of the
explained it, right? The
society.
production room, all right, of the family. So we need to actually understand that and begin to do something. If you got value, you know how it is. We share the fire emojis. And for all the
Fire
quotes
emojis.
on for all the quotes on this session, you're going to find it on our IG handle. Our IG handle is right on the screen at the intentional parents with the S. All right. All you need to do is just to get on the IG and then get on all the quotes so that you will be able to share with your family and friends. We have lots and lots of quotes that we're creating as the session is ending. We have quotes, coming off, from the team members. And I want to say thank you to everybody working in the background. This hasn't been easy. This hasn't been, just a walk in the park, but it's been a journey full of grace, and we are thankful. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Coach Robina for making out time to be here. I know
Thank you,
that you
ma'am, for
also
the
have
opportunity.
a very tight schedule. Coach Robina is a sexuality education coach. She coaches parents on how to teach sex education. You want that resource, just go to her. She's your go-to person. Trust me. That book, it was a book that I forwarded myself. Yes, you will say, how many books have you forwarded, Coach? A whole lot. You don't even want to know. All right. I have a lot of proteges, people that we have, put all the system and all of that together, and we are very proud. Thank you again, Coach Abimbola. And we would also want you to follow our coach that came today as a guest on Instagram, Girl Parenting. See, let me say something about parenting with peace. Oh, Lord, you will not understand it until you walk the journey.
Honestly.
I don't think you understand it until you find yourself in the place is the safest, sanest place to be. Now, this is coming from somebody who has been on the other end of the world. And then that person has now come to the other end of the world. I've tasted both worlds. And I can tell
Amazing.
you for free that that place where you are, that there is chaos. Child, there's no road there, my godparents. Road no day. Just turn around. And I like the way that my pastor says it. No matter how far you going to Ilori
Traveled in
and
the
you
wrong
face
direction.
you face Makodi, you will never get to Ilori, no matter where it is that you're going. You're never going to get there. That's how Bishop Davido Oyedepo actually explains it. I just want you to know today that the only way is to make a U-turn. The only way is to make a U-turn. There's no other way. Don't even argue. That's how they did it for us. We turned out okay. Go and listen to the session that Ben actually did. Did you really turn out okay? When you finish with that session, then you
Oh,
come back to me and tell me if you are really okay. All right. And look at our environment. Does it speak anything about the okayness of us? Then, of course,
not
that
at
gives you
all.
a lot of room to actually begin to tell yourself there's a lot to do. I don't know about you. The generation of the Nigerians that I see today, I don't want to see them tomorrow. I do not personally want to see them tomorrow. You might be one of the people who think or who say, why not? Oh, we need to see that and all of that. It's okay the way they are. It's not okay. And I want to say that none of these can happen except you commit to a process. You need to commit to a process. You need to agree to be held accountable. You need to learn how to be held accountable to be able to hold your children accountable to produce the kind of parenting that you want. Thank you
Absolutely.
again, Abimbola Olainka, for being here. Please, what will be your last words as we begin to round up for parents who listen to you this evening?
Thank you very much, Coach Wendy. Thank you, Coach Chinyere. It's been an amazing and awesome time with you guys. Thank you for the great work you're doing out there. Thank you for being intentional about the future we would all love to see. Thank you for being that instructive coaches. Thank you for doing the great work. Thank you for carrying out the mandate. And thank you everyone for watching. And I would like to say, don't just listen. Practice, 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 and practice all your learning. There shouldn't be anything called impossibility in your diary or dictionary. Nothing is impossible. We all have the capacity to do, and we have the capacity to unlearn, learn, and relearn per time. We all have that capacity. So, for there to be peace in our homes, there has to be contentment and unity. Whatever you have at every point, have that heart of gratitude and have that unity with your husband, your children, because the peace you're hoping to see out there doesn't start out there. It starts with you. It starts with the relationship you have with your children. It starts with the relationship you have with your husband. You will now extend it to the environment, to your workplace. Dear parents, once again, your values, what are they saying? Your value needs to align with your peace, with your way of life. Are you aligned with what you're preaching to your children? Are you ready to even commit to these peaceful ways with your anyhowness? So before I leave, the peace you wish to see in everyone around you, dear parents, begins with you. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I do not take it for granted. God bless you.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Coach Abimbola.
you.
I remember when I reached out to Coach Abimbola to do this, and she said to me, "This is a debt I owe to a nation." And that was, it got into, my bones. These are people doing a lot. I just want you to know that this conference is not coming to you free of charge. You are accessing it free, but no, someone is bearing the cost of being here. And the best that you can do is to go on IG, follow Girl Parenting, follow the Intentional Parents with S, and tag us and rave over these sessions. Let the world know that there are people who are committed to doing something differently for the next generation. It costs money to stream live. I don't want to tell you what it costs. I was saying yesterday with one of my team members, she's the most senior team member in my team. And she's the one that is closest to the finances, how it goes down in the academy. And I said it, she had a good laugh. And when we finished, she said, "Coach, nobody would understand. Nobody would understand."
Nobody.
And I want to say thank you again to all our supporters. We have quite a number of them reaching out daily, whatever it is. We are grateful for your prayers, for your any kind of support. We are grateful for it. I just want you to note that this has come at a cost, and we want you to do something about it. We don't want our resources to go to waste. We do not want the time that Coach Abimbola has put in here to go to waste. We do not want the time that Chico Chinyerobina has been here to go to waste. That will be us just, wasting everything that we have done. Take action, dear parents. Take action. Coach Chinyerobina, what will be your last word for parents?
Thank you so much, Coach Wendy. Thank you, Coach Abimbola. Thank you so much. My last words remain the last words from Coach Abimbola. The peace I'm looking for out there, the peace I'm looking for in my husband and my children starts with me. So, parents, it starts with you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And that brings
Thank
us to
you.
the fact that parenting is about you
About
and just you. And that is it. So you need to first start with you. That's my most favorite quote in my book, my best-selling book, Connect to Correct. It says, parenting is about you. Something that I couldn't even
yeah,
hold myself accountable to at the
Possible
time, but
to
I needed to learn it and be able to actually walk it before I could come out here to tell you that this is doable. I am telling you from the depth of my heart that is doable. We can do it. And like Coach Abimbola said,
absolutely.
there is no impossibility anywhere. Thank you, dear parents. Thank you, Coach Abimbola.
Thank
Good night
you.
as we
Thank you
meet
all.
thank
you
you.
Thank you.
again
Thank
again and
you.
again. Oh, thank you, Coach Chinyere.
Thank
Meet
you.
you again and again and again.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for sex educating your child, join the Sex Wise Parents on Facebook. That's Coach Chinyere Obina's Facebook group. You would enjoy the content that she shares there. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Coach Chinyere Obina, and thank you, Abimbola. Thank you, everyone who joined me this evening for this session. We are grateful. Every single one of us in the TIP Academy, we don't take any of you for granted. And I want to say shout out to my team. Amazing, amazing people. I'm going to rave over them on Friday. I'm going to tell you the kind of people that God has brought our way to actually do this with us. We do not take it for granted in any way. We just want to say that we love you and you know it. Thank you so much for being here. And we go to the last session of the day at exactly 7:30, where we're going to be having Chinuchije, and where he's going to be talking about raising digitally girl children. You want to be there. You want to be there. But before you go, I want to say something to you. In everything that we have said today, parenting is not about tips and hacks. Parenting is about the process. If you do not commit to a process, your parenting will be everywhere. Parenting will be happening to you instead of you happening to parenting. I'm going to leave you with the last review of the parents in the inner circle. While you serve on it, think about it. There's no reason why you shouldn't commit to a process to your journey. By the time you come in the next maybe a few months, I will tell you, oh, the slots are all booked. We did it this year. By the time the slots were all shut down, we shut it down and we couldn't take people in the academy. We became overwhelmed. All right. And people said, oh, we didn't announce early. That's why we're starting in July to announce to you. So by the time we start our registrations, you wouldn't say, oh, I didn't hear. All right. Take action. Parenting is much more than just the talk. There is a lot to do. Good night and see you again at 7:30.
Hello, everyone. My name is Titilope Akajere, and I'm a member of the inner circle of the Intentional Parents Academy. My journey to becoming a member started long before now. I'd always followed Coach Wendy, followed her posts, bought her books, from Connect to Correct to The Discipline That Works, and every other media guide that she puts out there. So being a member of the Intentional Parents Academy, the inner circle, has been eye-opening for me. I see it as a support system for parents who want to be deliberate and intentional on this parenting journey. Parenting in the 21st century is not a walk in the park, I must tell you. And so you need to follow person with no road. Follow someone who has more knowledge than you. I tell people, why do we go to business school? Why do we go to school to read certain things? And then it comes to parenting and we act like we know it all. No, it won't work. And so that's why I would recommend the inner circle for anyone who wants to be deliberate, who wants to parent with ease and not under stress. We also have our lives to live and we also want to parent our children better. So the inner circle is a place to be for everyone, to learn, to unlearn and relearn. And so I would recommend the inner circle for anyone, any day, anytime. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gini Kamubudu, and this is my second year in the Intentional Parenting Group. It's been a great journey. I really love being a part of the community because it's a community where you come and share your challenges. As a parent, you will always meet challenges at different stages, and knowing that there's a community where you can come and be free to share what you're going through, and different people come with their different point of view and let you know how they handle their challenges is a great thing, because one thing is going through a challenge, another thing is knowing that people went through it before you and more will still go through it. So sharing that knowledge, sharing that insight, it helps, knowing that you're not alone in the journey. Another great thing about the group is that because we always have a book that we read every month, we go deep into the book and share our insights and reviews from it. It helps you with the journey, knowing that there are better ways to do things. Coach will always say there's always a higher knowledge, and knowing these things help make the journey easier, because parenting is really not an easy journey. But having that the ways to navigate them it helps a whole lot. And as I said before, having that community where you can share your joys, your challenges is a great deal. And I believe that when many of us